party is over. Summertime is over. And just like Game of Thrones, winter is coming. And we want to help you stay on track with your goals because we know how hard it is in the summertime, but in the wintertime, it gets even harder. It gets darker sooner. We get sad and depressed. But we're not sad and depressed here because Jillian and I want to help you stay on track. So on this episode, that's what we're going to talk about. Jillian, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good, yo.
I'm good. I thought we talked about we weren't going to ask each other how we're doing anymore.
You did it anyway.
It's a bad
I'm
habit.
not telling you how I am. I'm just going to say good. What did they say? I'm fine. Everything's fine.
And when they say it's not fine, but you just go with it. It's a bad habit we need to break. So you go back and listen to our past episode where we talk about habits and you'll learn how to break your bad habits. But we're back again with another episode. We took a week off last week because of the holidays and stuff. A lot of people were asking, they're saying, Jillian, where you been? And where were we? We were at the beach, or what'd you do for Labor Day? Anything?
What did I do? When was Labor Day? I waited last minute to do back to school shopping, and I got swim lessons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm really great at it now.
So not to put Jillian on the spot, but she's training for an Ironman, right?
Yeah.
And when is the Ironman?
September 25th.
Nice. Well, when it's over, we have to do an episode about that. We have to talk about training and stuff. If you don't mind sharing, I'll put you on the spot here.
I like to talk about training. I like talking about training just because I think it's like, I'm sure other people would like to hear about the physical aspects, but to me, it's like, it's mental, you know?
Well, speaking of mental, that's what we're going to get into today.
The
mental of it, you know, it's getting darker. It'll be lighter earlier, but get darker sooner. And a lot of people like to work out outside and they get.
Is that how daylight savings time works? It'll be dark later. It'll be dark earlier.
Right.
But it'll be light earlier.
Right, because we fall back, spring forward. So yeah, we set the clock back an hour.
Yeah. So that's gonna stink in the I said to my kids last night, we were sitting at the dinner table. I think it was like 7:30. No. It was like 7:40 something. And I went, guys, it's dark out. You know, so like it just keeps happening. And I know that people do enter this, like, I guess you would call it seasonal depression, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we really jump in, I forgot to mention that we do have our email account where we want you guys to send us your questions or topics that you want to talk about or feedback, because we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to ask Jillian, or if you want to make fun of us, I encourage you to make fun of me. But the email address is mindbodyfoodpod@gmail.com, the mindbodyfoodpod@gmail.com. There'll be a link for that in the description as well. So make sure you start sending us some questions because we want to know what you want to hear, what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, we want to know. We need something to talk about.
Good or bad, we want to know.
Yeah.
All right, so back to our regularly scheduled program. So, I think this topic kind of came about because, like you just said, it's getting darker, and before we know it, it's going to be winter time.
Yeah.
Winter is coming. We can't escape it.
Some people like it. I mean, I don't trust them. Yeah. I heard someone today like, oh, I love this cold, rainy weather. I've been waiting for it. To me, I'm like, I love the summer. But I thought this would be a cool topic because, right, don't we always think that whatever situation we're in, it's like the hardest one, right? So like when we were, discussing what we should talk about, it was like, you thought summer was hard. You thought summer was a challenge. Like, even though people might be like, yeah, in the summer, it's good for me. It's warmer. I can go out and walk more. I can move more. Guess what else comes with summer? Partying, barbecues, drinking, ice cream. So it's kind of like every season has its challenges. So I hear people often saying to me like, oh, I don't want summer to be over, but it'll be good because it'll help me get back to my goals. And like, before we got on here, you were like, what should we call it? And I was like, you think you failed summer, like you're going to fail fall too. Like there's always more challenges. So maybe there are less barbecues. There's also less time to go out and take a walk. You know, we've got kids are in back to school full force. My kids went back today.
Yeah, so it's always every season has its own challenges. So, you kid yourself when you're like in the springtime, you're like, oh, in the summertime it'll be easier. And then the
Yeah.
summertime, you're like, oh, it'll be easier in the fall. Then winter comes, there's a foot of snow, and then you can't do anything.
Well, winter comes and then it's the holidays, right? And then it's funny because I even learned when Girl Scout cookie season is because everyone is like, January 1st. And I think Girl Scout cookie season's like 3 weeks in. All of a sudden, people are like, I ate like a sleeve of Thin Mints. I'm like, it's the same way every year.
Right. And then before that, it's, Halloween and
Yeah,
then Thanksgiving and then Christmas. So it's like
yeah,
four months of eating.
yeah. So like, I don't know. I guess the topic today is don't don't be surprised. Don't be surprised by what fall is going to offer you, right? Fall leads to winter. What does that mean? It means it's darker earlier. It means it's going to be cold. It means you're going to get home from work and you're maybe not going to want to go to the gym at night like you were during the summer. Like, what challenges do you think you fall into during the fall?
Um, I don't think this, I guess maybe like October when it gets darker out for sure. I mean, I work from home, but generally if you go to work or even if I'm working from home, by the time I'm done and it's dark out, you're like,
You don't want to
you
do
think,
anything.
right. You think it's 9 or 10 o'clock and it's 6 o'clock and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. Well, it's 6 o'clock and, you know, I need to
Yeah.
I need to get it in. I need to go, even if it's dark out. So yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. I think also for a lot of people, it's like the less sunlight, the more down you can feel just because it's darker. Like, I don't know how people live in like Alaska where I think it's like dark like
Oh,
24 hours a day.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah. So I think it's amazing how powerful the sun is, like just
I
going
can't even live
outside.
here. I can't handle this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think for me, I think for sure, like it getting darker, which I don't mind it, but after a while it gets old. Like if it was only like for a month, it wouldn't be so bad. But
Now, do
I
you
guess
ride your bike outside in the winter?
yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I like to ride my bike a lot, but it's tough. I think after like I think November, the middle of November is like cut off because once you're riding and it's cold out and you're sweaty, that's not a good mix of being cold and sweaty.
Yeah.
Um,
You have to, and there's like a lot of gear. So like last year, I think same thing. We probably rode through like November and like maybe dabbled if you looked at the weather and it showed a nice day. So this year I plan on riding through the winter, but you need a lot of gear. It's cold out. You get frostbite. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get all for me, I'm sweating and I'm cold. It's just like not fun. And if you're out for a run or a walk or a bike and you're out if you're out a couple miles away from your car or your house, it's not fun. You just want to
Yeah.
turn around.
Well, and then there's black ice, right? You got snow
Yeah.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't even think about that, about riding. Now I'm depressed. Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome. Well, because look though, isn't it good you got to find a plan B ahead of you have to shoot for the best, but still expect the worst, right? Like I think that's what makes people all or nothing. I think about this a lot. I'm an optimist. My glass is pretty much always half full. I might complain, I'm a bad swimmer, blah, blah, blah. But I'm mostly an optimist. But there's always this little part of me that's like, all right, Jill, like that might not work out. That might not go as planned. What would it look like if it didn't? Whereas I think a lot of people lack that skill, and that's what makes them all or nothing. They get themselves excited. They teach themselves to be excited about something. I'm gonna run outside 4 times a week during the winter. And then there's a snowstorm and I get on the phone with them and they're like, well, it snowed. And then like then maybe join Planet Fitness for $10 a month. That way you can go and get that in. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have a fairly decent plan B.
Yeah, I
Like
definitely.
even I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, go ahead.
Or maybe I do. But like the number of people that even have Pelotons in their house right now. It's almost like everyone I talk to has a Peloton. but they don't ever use it as a plan B. They're like, oh, I know, but I couldn't get to the gym. Well, did you get on the Peloton? I didn't feel like getting on it. I mean, no one really wants to, right? Like, you say you want something. You say you have a goal. Do you get to that goal by only getting on your bike when you're in the mood? The answer is no. I don't know if you're thinking, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to put them on blast, but I definitely have some family members who have Pelotons that are collecting dusts and they're not using them. And I think having a bike like that is a great way. Because I think the big thing with this episode is we're trying to help people prepare for what's coming.
Yeah.
And I think even if you get, you can get a stationary bike for like $100. So even if you get one of those,
Absolutely.
Pelotons are expensive. But yeah, I think it's, it's coming. So you have to prepare for it.
Mentally prepare.
Right.
Like, we're not saying you need to go out and buy a Peloton because they're not endorsing this. So I'm not.
Right.
And I'm not saying you need to even go out and join a gym, but just do not be let down when your plan doesn't go the way you want. And really, I like that you said it like that. Yes, we're talking about like summer coming to an end and fall's coming and winter's coming, but really this episode's about like preparedness, but like mental preparedness. Like, here we are. This isn't your first change of seasons. What can you learn about last year? How can you make it a little bit better? That's what they did in Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Winter is coming. They're preparing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They were like I forget what they were doing, but they were probably killing animals and making jackets and stuff. Yeah. So I guess before you can prepare, you need to think about what it means. Like you were asking me what it means to me, like how it affects me. So, right. I think the first step to solving a problem is figuring out what the problem is. So
sure.
I wonder,
remember what problems you entered, right? Like, we've got fall sports coming up. There's going to be plenty of parents that are listening to this again going, I might not have hit my goal during the summer, but this will be good because fall, everything settles down. Yeah, maybe like the barbecues and the drinking settle down, but then it's replaced by what? By back to school night, parent teacher conferences, sports, homework. Like there more responsibility comes with fall, I always feel. So like you're still gonna have to learn, you're still gonna have to take a look at last year and go, okay, what did I slip up with last year? And how do I make it look a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Is this something you've talked to with patients before about like seasonal stuff? Does it come up at all?
I mean, sure. I discuss this topic a lot actually with teachers, because teachers love their summer, but like most of them equally can't wait to get back to school because they really desire that routine. They feel like there's like too much free time in the summer. They're lacking stability and structure. And I think they all forget that like 2 to 3 weeks into school, they're miserable.
Right.
The grass is not greener. Like both sides of the grass is brown.
Right.
So just know how to water your brown grass. Just like predict it. Just know that you're going to be equally stressed out. How do you make it look a little bit better? How do you implement some habits that don't keep you like from full out losing it, basically?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think what happens when the seasons change. So it gets darker, you can get sadder, you're unmotivated to work out, or you don't want to go outside because it's dark. Then you'll be
here's something that happens. Not that I'm into body shaming, that's not what this is, but people dress comfier. And it makes you not notice that you've been putting some stuff off. Just saying it like that.
You're busting out the hoodies, yeah.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. Come springtime, they're like, I put shorts on. I stopped wearing leggings, and they're like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, or that shirt that used to fit nice doesn't really fit as well anymore. That's a great topic or a great thing to bring up. So that's one way you can prepare or mentally is like, I think little stuff like that is what will help you, little reminders will help you stay on track.
Yeah. Or even like if say you didn't hit your goals, right? I joked with my class today. I taught, what class was it? It doesn't matter. I joked with my class today because we were like doing arms and it was like hurting. I could see their faces. And I said, guys, summer's coming. Like, and if you're disappointed because year after year you feel like you're not hitting your goal, now is the time to take a look. The same way I love New Year's resolutions, I told you before. Take a look. Like, here we are. We're 9 months into 2022, right? Take a look at the past, 9 months. How did you do? How well did you do with your goals? So, like in the cycling world, we're coming to the end kind of the season. And so during the winter, everyone starts training for like spring and for summer. So like when you're an athlete or when you have a hobby that's athletic, you're not, it's funny, you almost lose that diet mentality. Diet mentality is very like, what's happening in these next 2 to 4 weeks? Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's very like all or nothing. Like
it's very like 2 to 4 weeks. Like, I get a patient on the phone and they're like really, really excited. I'm like, oh man, what happened with you? Why are you so gung ho? What changed? I have a wedding in 3 weeks. How long have you known about this? Well, a year. Okay, let's see what happens to you in 3 weeks. Like, not much is really going to change with you, but we get in the diet culture or in the diet world, it's very like, I've got 3 weeks, right? But in the fitness athletic world or whatever we call it, when, yes, we're all doing it to burn calories, but we're all doing it to get better. 3 weeks is nothing. 3 weeks is like, you got something coming up in 3, like, I got my race in 3 weeks. I'm damn near on the cusp of tapering down. And so like when you have goals bigger than just weight loss, you tend to see the bigger picture, and, maybe you use the fall as a way to be like, okay, like summer has subsided, partying has subsided, going to bed at 11 because it gets dark at 9 has subsided. What does the rest of this year look like for me? What does the rest of fall look like? I mean, we're only 6 weeks from Halloween, right? And you might go, all right, well, Halloween's not that big of an issue for me, but there's still ways to predict what happens around Halloween. Are you one of those people that goes into your coworker's office and grabs 2 Snickers every day? Are you one of those people that by accident you grab like the discounted Halloween candy, right? And then next thing you know, it's Thanksgiving. And I always joke with people, Thanksgiving and Christmas or Thanksgiving and Hanukkah, they're a short period of time, right? But it's all the little parties that trickle around it. It's the work pop party. It's your best friend's party. It's Friendsgiving. It all adds up. What can you learn about last year? Predict it, get through it. And so that like by next year, you're one step ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And to add to it, it's like a great time to think about next year. So, let's say you wanted to lose like 30, 40 pounds, or you have a vacation next year in like May or June.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like you mentioned, looking backward and reflecting, and that made me think, well, you should be looking forward too and thinking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I would love to lose, I want to lose X amount of pounds by the spring. So now is the time to, it goes to your point of the 3 week thing, which I was laughing when you said that because I'm guilty of it. It's like, I got something. Yeah, I got something in 3 weeks. Yeah. How much weight can I lose in 3 weeks? Like
how much weight can I lose like today?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I think, it's a good add to that point is,
and listen, I'm not, this, I'm never blaming people for thinking like that. I get it. I was there once. Diet culture makes us that way. You go on a diet like keto and the advertisement's like, lose 8 pounds in 2 weeks. It's not practical. We're not taking a look at the fact that you're losing water. There's a diet, and I'm not going to name it. I'm not going to go there. That should be a topic one day. We should just discuss different diets and what they do.
Yeah.
But there's a diet out there like where I think it's promised that, oh man, someone was just telling me about it. Well, anyway, you lose this like astronomical number within like 1 month. And if you really think about what that even means, like how many fewer calories you would have to have, it's not even feasible. So if a person's dropping that dramatic of weight, they're either losing water weight or they're losing muscle. Why would you want to lose muscle? I mean, I get it. We're super hooked on the scale. Like we are just dying to see that freaking number go down on the scale. But is it at what cost? Why would you ever want to have like, let's talk about what, like I say, lose muscle, right? I'm sure we've all heard that or said that before, but it's muscle wasting. Your body's last resort is to literally use muscle because you're so few calories. You don't ever want to be on anything that gets you to that point.
Yeah, these diets are funny. They say lose 8 pounds in 2 weeks, but then they don't let you know that you'll gain 20 pounds 2 weeks after you're done the diet. They forgot to mention that part.
Yeah. Well, of course not. And I don't think people ever ask, like, so then what? Like, then what happens? So I lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks. Or let's say it's, I lost 16 pounds in 4 weeks. And to me, that's bizarre. Like, I know I can say confidently, I think I'm very good at what I do, but I would never, ever promise anyone that they can lose 16 pounds in 4 weeks. Because at that point, you're not losing body fat. You're losing other things. You're losing water, you're losing muscle. And when you lose water, what happens is you come off of this diet, and then you bring the water back on, and then you think you gained weight, but you didn't really, but it looks like that. And then you feel like a failure.
Yeah. Well, so getting back to this topic, because I like what we always usually do is like the first half of the episode kind of like sets up what we're going to talk about. And I feel like the last half is usually actionable advice.
Yeah.
Just somehow always ends up that way. So I would love to like try to figure out, what's some actionable advice we can give to people to prepare, for winter and realize that the party's over and summer's gone.
Yeah. I mean, let's see, actionable advice. Here's something that I do. I like to take, because if you're not careful, you seem to think you're doing everything wrong, right? So like, let's say you really did come out of the summer, you're in fall, you think fall is going to be better for you. Fall's not better for you. It didn't work out the way you planned. You find that you're lazier this reminds me of something, and I think you'll appreciate this. I was going to say you find that you're lazier at night because it's dark. And so that like burst of energy that you thought that you were going to have because summer was over tends to not actually be there. Side note, I came across something. Was it on YouTube or was it on Instagram? It was this guy, and I guess he was talking about procrastination, but he said, even though we don't have high self-esteem, we all seem to think that tomorrow we're going to be superheroes. So like, I might be too tired to get that gym workout in today, but tomorrow I'm going to feel good. No, you're not. Or like, I don't know, like, I don't really have any self-control with eating with dinner tonight, but like tomorrow I will. Like tomorrow I'll be better. And he was like, why is it we all think we're superheroes? You're going to be exactly the same person tomorrow. You're not going to have any energy tomorrow, and you're not going to have any self-control tomorrow. And I'm paraphrasing, but that was what I took from it. And I thought that was an interesting way to look at it, But
no, I mean, it's so easy to just say, just push things off, and then next day becomes 2 days, and then that becomes a month.
Sure. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to what you asked me. So like, let's say here you are, you're a couple of weeks into fall. It's getting dark earlier, not dramatically earlier, but like, let's face it, it's going to be 7. Now you're not taking that walk that you thought that you were going to with your husband or your dog or your kid, right? Instead of being very broad, because this is what happens, we don't follow through with what we say, and then we tend to be broad. And I hear it all the time, like, just like, I'm sucking now too, right? Be more specific. This is my actionable plan. Be more specific. What 3 things do you feel like you aren't doing well with? So instead of being like, oh, I'm kind of sucking at everything, what 3 things? I'm sure you could, I don't need a list of like 20 things a day that you're not doing well with. What 3 things can you pick? Sit there and reflect on it. Like write them down. Sit there and reflect on it. Are these things that you felt like you messed up with during the summer? And did you think that you were going to do a better job this season? Are these things that you messed up on last fall and somehow you surprised yourself and thought that you were going to do better this season? Is it a habit? And is there a way that through consistency you can make this thing that you are messing up on look 10 to 15% better? That's what I think. Like, if you're going to listen to this podcast and be like, yep, that pretty much sounds like me failing worse this fall than I thought I would, pick 3 things. So like, I'm going to use walking as an example. Just because it's an easy one. And I often get people who are like, I feel like I just want to walk more because I have a stay-at-home job or I work a desk job or whatever, right? So maybe during the summer, you found like you didn't really have the time for walking because your kids wanted to go to the pool or whatever, right? Your kids had sports, whatever. But you told yourself, okay, pool season's going to settle down. Warm days are going to settle down, and I'm going to walk at night after dinner. And now here you are. It's getting dark earlier. You're not walking at night. Sit there for a second and ask yourself, why aren't I walking at night like I said I was going to? Is it because I'm afraid to be out at night in my neighborhood? This is a woman question. Not to like, I'm not trying to you can be a guy, you're allowed to be scared to walk at night. I'm not judging. But normally this is a question for women. Is it because you're afraid to walk at night? And some women do say that is true. And if that is the case, then can you do a 10 to 15 minute walking video or 10 to 15 minute little yoga video or Tabata video at night, just so that you are not someone that says you're going to do something and doesn't have a plan B, right? And maybe that's not the answer. Maybe you're like, no, that's not it. I just feel like I'm really tired and kind of worn down after dinner once I put all the food away. And then I guess my answer is, are you being a superhero about it? Were you tired at night in the spring after work? Were you tired at night in the summer after work? Then why did you think that fall was going to be any different for you? Tired or not, a 10-minute walk really isn't that hard. It's hard because it's not your normal. And if you make it your normal, you'll become a walker and you won't even have to think about it.
Yeah, I think having that plan B you need to do too, because with technology today, you can go on YouTube and find any type of video where you could do something else.
Yeah.
At your house, so you don't have to go outside.
Yeah. We got to be okay with, I think like you talk about planning and preparing, we got to be okay with plan B. Plan B, listen, people are like, yeah, but I don't want, why do you think it's called plan B and not plan A? No one wants to do it. Like, no one wants to do any of this. Life should be called plan B.
Yeah.
But you got to, if you say you have a goal, if you say you want something, if you say you're sick of procrastinating, if you say you're sick of the struggle, then you have to accept and acknowledge plan B for exactly what it is. It is the thing that you are doing because plan A didn't pan out. But plan B still gets you to where you want to be. No plan gets you nowhere. No plan has you exactly 1 year from now in exactly the same place with no improvement whatsoever.
Yeah, so the big thing is to have a plan of what you want to do, but have the backup plan in case you can't do what you want to do. So at least you're doing something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes a
exactly.
lot of sense. Yeah, I think with those you mentioned before, like picking three things. I was going to say maybe they should be three things that in the winter when it gets darker you tend to do. Whether it's like, you don't want to go outside because it's dark out. You know what I mean? Like pick three things that are relevant to the
Yeah,
upcoming months, right?
yeah. Well, and I think picking three things will also, assuming the person's like really listening to this conversation, like really hearing what I'm saying, picking three things will help break it down small. But I gotta say, careful that your three things aren't too big. So the example is, and I always use overnight oats as an example, but I feel like it's so common to hear someone say they're struggling with all these things. And it's like, okay, well, what could you do to make it easier? Well, I could have more food ready. And I totally agree with that. Like, even before my kids started school, I threw out a bunch of stuff. I organized my refrigerator. I organized my snacks. I put some snacks in Ziploc bags. I made it easier, right? Because I want it easy. If I know that I'm going to be busier, I want it to be easier for not just me, my own children to go, okay, granola bar, fruit cup, yogurt, run out the door, right? And so I often hear people say, okay, so what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to get like 5 mason jars and I'm going to make like overnight oats. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. Like if you're into making stuff like that, but it's still too like labor intensive. If you are someone that's been skipping breakfast and feeling like you're not packing lunch, and then you're getting to work, and then you're starving, and then you're running into Wawa, and then you feel like you're making the wrong choices because you're starving, then thinking that every night when you already have a bunch of other things to worry about, you should be walking because it's on your list, that you're going to sit out there and you're going to make your overnight, like it becomes a lot. And it's like, start small. Use a packet of oatmeal. Promise that to yourself. Make it a pack of oatmeal every morning, right? You get good and consistent at that, then you can play with your overnight oats. Or maybe you make your packet of oatmeal and then like after a while you add like a quarter cup of raisins or a tablespoon of chia seeds or something like that because you want to make it a little bit more wholesome or healthier. But if you're picking three things that you want to work on, make them small. You don't have to change everything. You don't have to pre-plan and package everything that you're making just to help yourself get a little bit further.
Yeah, that's a common theme in all our episodes is making the small changes and doing the small things every day and then building up the momentum that leads to the big
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
because
well,
the big things look more fun, right? Don't they? Like I get it all the time. All right, I'm gonna start meal prepping on Sunday. When you don't meal prep, what happens? Oh, I completely fall off. Didn't you say 2 Sundays ago you had a baby shower and you couldn't meal prep? Well, yeah. Well, then there's an issue with that plan. You know?
right. That's why you got to have the plan B. Yeah. Can you hear me?
What did you say?
I was saying that's why you got to have the plan B too.
That's why I gotta have a plan B. I always have lean cuisines in my fridge, just in case. Yep.
Well, I think it's been another good episode. I hope people take something away from this and it helps them because, we joke around, but a lot of people do get depressed and a lot of people, it does affect them, but you just have to, it's coming every year. So you have to just know what's
Gotta
going to
take it. Yeah.
coming and you got to prepare, if you can prepare for it before it gets here, then you'll be better off. So that's what we wanted to do with this episode. So hopefully we'll help you prepare for what's coming. I keep making it all doom and gloom like the end of the world. It's not. It's just, it's gonna get
Oh
colder
wait,
and darker.
that's the most important part. You know what happens at the end of summer? They stop selling summer shandy.
What is that?
It's my favorite beer.
Oh,
It
so the world is over. No more summer beer.
is over. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't they have like pumpkin beer and other stuff?
I'm not a pumpkin person.
Well, better stock up on that beer. Maybe you have a couple weeks left.
I did. It's in my basement.
Well, yeah, it's been a great episode, and guys, we appreciate you guys watching and listening. Don't forget, we do one episode a week every Monday. It's on YouTube,
Yes.
all podcast platforms. We're getting a lot of great feedback. Our numbers are growing, so we appreciate everybody checking it out. But Jillian, if people want to book you for a session or they want to see more of your content, where can they find you?
Yep, you guys can find me on Nutritionista on Facebook and Nutritionista_1 on Instagram.
And I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. Just search for Zach Scholl. And I have another podcast called Coaches and Content where we teach you how to grow your business through digital marketing and creating content. Check that out. It's on YouTube and all podcast platforms. So Jillian, I think you pretty much covered anything, but we have any last words?
No. Mm-mm. If you seriously, I know that Zach already said this, but like if there's because when you're in this world, in this realm, you all of a sudden don't know how to think like the person that's listening. So if you're ever listening to this and you're like, oh, I love this topic, but I wish they spoke about this, or this part happens to be my struggle, or what, please leave a comment, because it not only, I mean, obviously, not only are we going to help you, but if you are thinking it, someone else is thinking it. And then that helps us help them.
Yeah. And I forgot too, you can always email us feedback and feedback questions, any topic you want us to cover. So that email is mindbodyfoodpod@gmail.com.
Yeah. Or even on YouTube, like you can leave a comment on YouTube. So if you listen to it on YouTube and you're like, yeah, but what happens if blah, 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 just type it in there. We'll say it.
Yeah. Comment, subscribe, like the video. Anything you can do can help grow the show, and we can help more people. So yeah, that'd be great. That was a good point.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we thank you for watching and listening, and we'll be back next week with another episode.
Yep.